ser versus estar in Spanish. One of the trickiest things for us to learn as Spanish learners. But by the end of this video, you are going to know exactly how and when to use them. The number one thing that you need to remember is that ser is permanent and estar is temporary. If you're going to remember one thing from this video, let it be that, okay? Ser is permanent, estar is temporary. Remember, ser and estar both mean to be. Today, we're only going to take a look at the present tense conjugations of the verbs ser and estar. So, the present tense conjugations for ser are soy, eres, es, somos, and son. We also have sois, which is used in Spain. It is coming from Castellano. However, I typically do not teach the vosotros form. For estar, we have estoy, estás, está, estamos, and están. In Spain, we also have estáis for vosotros. So, let's take a look at some examples. Yo blank Nate, okay? Who am I? I am Nate. Is that permanent or temporary? That is permanent. So, yo soy Nate. I apologize for my incredibly good handwriting, okay? Yo soy Nate. That is a permanent thing about me. It is not going to change. I'm not going to be Nate one day and then Bob the next. But you never know in these days, all right? Maybe that's a possibility. Tu blank estudiante, okay? Tu blank estudiante, okay? Is that permanent or temporary? Well, when we're talking about things like professions, which in this case we would argue that a student is a profession, it would be permanent. Therefore, tu eres estudiante. You are a student. Notice how I don't have to put un there. I can just say estudiante. So, tu eres estudiante. Remember that we need an accent over the tu, because without that, it means your. So with an accent means you, without an accent means your. The pronunciation is exactly the same, but it just lets us know in writing that one means you and one means your. Ella blank inteligente. She is intelligent. Ella es inteligente, all right? We're not going to say está inteligente because that implies that she's smart today, but she'll be dumb tomorrow. We want to say that she is intelligent. That is a characteristic, a personality trait of hers. She is intelligent. That's not going to change. Once again, the one thing you need to remember from this video is that ser is permanent and estar is temporary. That is the number one thing you need to remember from this video. Ellos blank de México. Ellos blank de México. So, they are from Mexico. They are of Mexico. Ellos son de México. That is a permanent thing about them, okay? It's not like they were born in Mexico, but then somehow on their birth certificate the next day it said they're from Argentina. No, they are from Mexico. That is a permanent thing about them. Ellos son de México. Before we move on to estar, make sure to click the link in the video description if you'd like to learn more fluent Spanish with me. We have our Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy. We have more than 300 students. Our goal is to help you have a 10-minute conversation in 90 days without feeling unconfident. So check that out by clicking the link in the video description. Moving on to the side of the whiteboard. Yo blank acostado. Okay, I blank laying down. Okay, here we have estoy. Why is it estoy? Well, because acostado is a temporary position. Okay, I'm not forever going to be laying down. I'm currently laying down, but eventually I am going to get up. And therefore we say yo estoy acostado. What about la biblioteca? La biblioteca blank, okay? La biblioteca está, because we use estar when talking about location. Now, I just thought it would be funny because who knows where the biblioteca is? I don't know if anyone knows yet. No one knows, all right? La biblioteca está, ¿quién sabe dónde? That's why I put all the question marks, because no one knows where the biblioteca is, okay? La biblioteca está, okay? Está is used for location, right? So, for example, yo estoy en casa. I am at home. However, I'm not going to be here forever. So I wouldn't say yo soy en casa. I would say yo estoy en casa. Okay? Nosotros blank lavando los trastes. We are washing the dishes. And here, once again, we have estar, and it would be estamos. Remember, the conjugation is estoy, estás, está, estamos, and están. Okay, so we are not going to permanently be washing the dishes. We wouldn't say somos, we're going to say estamos, because we are temporarily washing the dishes, but eventually we'll be done and we will not be washing dishes anymore. El blank cansado, okay? Now, this is a trick one. El está cansado is what we would typically use here, meaning he is tired. He's not going to forever be tired. Eventually, he'll have some energy. But you could also use ser in this particular example. If I were to say él es cansado, what I'm saying is he is tiring to be around. He is a tiring person. Él es cansado. But an even better example would be with this adjective, aburridos. Okay? Ellos blank aburridos. They are boring or they are bored. So the meaning changes depending on which one we choose to use, estar or ser. So when I say ellos están aburridos, I'm saying they are bored. They're not going to be bored forever. There's going to come a moment when they're excited or happy or whatever, and they're not going to be bored anymore. However, if I want to say they are boring people, I would use son. Ellos son aburridos, because that is a permanent thing about them. They are boring people, okay? Once again, like I said, the number one thing to remember is that ser is permanent and estar is temporary. Sometimes teachers will tell you, oh, just remember this acronym and yada, yada, yada. I think it's bad advice, because when you are having a conversation in the real world, are you really going to think, oh yeah, what's that doctor acronym that I learned? No, you just need to think quickly, permanent or temporary. Ser is permanent, estar is temporary. Muchas gracias por ver este video. Espero que hayas aprendido algo nuevo. And like I said, click the link in the video description if you want to join our Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy. Muchas gracias y espero que tengas buen día. Hasta luego.